Do you really have to prime cardboard with gesso before painting? Hi everyone! So a year or two ago I made a video about how I prepare cardboard for painting by priming it with gesso and why you might want to do that. But today I'm testing if you really have to prime it by showing you a comparison of painting on primed and unprimed cardboard with acrylics and seeing if the results look different or not and whether I'll be contradicting what I said in that video. I'm cutting up the piece of cardboard so you can get a fair comparison. This was quite thick. It's the backing of a watercolor pad. So I had to use a utility knife to cut it in half and then a nail file to smooth out the cut because I couldn't get a clean cut. And finally I used little nail scissors to clean off the rest. I've used up a few of these same watercolor pads before and I like painting on their cardboard backs because they're sturdy and they don't bend that much. But I wouldn't normally cut them up like this. I did this just so you can get a comparison with the exact same type and color of cardboard. I primed one piece with Liquitex Basics white acrylic gesso, 2 coats, one vertical, one horizontal, and let it dry for a couple of hours. I had 2 rough sketches of owls in my sketchbook and I freehand sketched them on the cardboard with a watercolor pencil in a bigger size. The references I had were tawny owls, but I completely changed the color scheme. I wanted to use the same colors in both paintings though, so you can actually compare them. The acrylic paints I was using were mostly plus color paints, which are opaque, but also a few other more transparent paints as well. The first difference between them is that when I'm painting on the unprimed cardboard, it gets wet. You can see the paint is soaking into it. But I have to say the cardboard on its own is a smoother surface than gesso. The brush strokes don't show up as much on the unprimed surface. You can, however, sand down gesso to make it smoother in between the layers and after the final layer. I don't usually bother doing that, but it could have made a difference here. Also, in the beginning stages, the primed painting looked shinier, whereas the unprimed painting definitely looked more matte in the first layer. The experiences I've had before with painting on unprimed cardboard were using transparent acrylics and also Mola paints from IKEA, which I thought were acrylics until I realized they reactivate with water. So I guess they were actually poster paints, but that's besides the point. In both of those cases I had trouble getting the paint to look opaque. But this time the paintings are starting to look very similar with a few layers. So it also depends on the type of paints you're using. I think I had a better experience this time because I was using only opaque acrylics, or at least mixing the transparent acrylics with the opaque ones, and also layering them. The paints and other supplies I used will be listed below in the description. Did I have to layer the unprimed painting more than the primed one to make it look the same? I can't really tell. Judging by the footage I have, the owl on the unprimed cardboard took a bit longer to paint. But that might be because I just wasn't happy with how it was looking and had to paint over some parts. And not so much because the paint would not cover enough and I'd have to keep layering to get the same coverage as with the primed one. So when I was finished, it seemed like there was no difference between the paintings. You wouldn't be able to tell which one was primed and which one wasn't. But I can't tell you how they would look over time, maybe in a few years. So, yes, you can paint on cardboard without priming it first. Yes, you can have the painting look exactly the same, but it depends on what you're planning to do with the painting. Gesso creates a layer between the cardboard and the acrylic paints or oil paints so that they don't soak into the cardboard. Gesso is also going to protect the painting from a possible acidic surface. If the painting surface is not acid-free, the painting will not last as long and it can yellow over time. So it's your choice. It depends on whether you want the painting to last longer or if it's okay that it doesn't. If you're painting on cardboard, you already know it's going to degrade over time and it won't last forever, whether you prime it or not. I'm interested to see how these two will age over the years though, compared to each other.